The murder of Brianna Ghey. On February 11th, 2023, 16-year-old transgender TikToker Brianna Ghey was scrolling through her phone, messaging with someone she believed was a friend. The teenage girl from Warrington, Cheshire, England had amassed thousands of followers with her vibrant personality and makeup tutorials. She agreed to meet Scarlett Jenkinson, a classmate she had befriended, and Eddie Ratcliffe, whom she had never met before, at Colchester Linear Park that afternoon, unaware of what they had planned. The two teenagers, Scarlett Jenkinson and Eddie Ratcliffe, both aged 15 at the time, had been exchanging messages for weeks. Their texts revealed a disturbing thirst for killing and detailed plans specifically targeting Brianna. They had created a list of potential victims, but Brianna was chosen as the easiest target. Jenkinson had even previously attempted to murder Brianna by poisoning her with an overdose of ibuprofen, which made Brianna extremely sick. Her mother thought it was appendicitis. Around 1:53 p.m., Brianna arrived at the bus stop outside Colchester Library to meet them. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. Families walked their dogs nearby, completely unaware of what was about to unfold in the wooded area just meters away. The two teenagers led Brianna deep into the park, away from the paths frequently used by visitors. Without warning, they launched their attack. Ratcliffe pulled out a hunting knife, a large serrated blade he had purchased during a skiing trip to Bulgaria and brought specifically for the murder. The attack was described later by investigators as frenzied. Brianna was stabbed 28 times. The wounds covered her head, neck, chest, and back. Some penetrated vital organs. Brianna didn't die instantly. Evidence showed she tried to defend herself, raising her arms to block the attacks. Her hands had defensive wounds. She was conscious and aware as the knife repeatedly entered her body. The pain would have been excruciating, each new wound adding to the shock and trauma as her strength faded. The attack was interrupted when the two killers were disturbed by dog walkers who became suspicious, causing them to flee the scene. When the dog walkers discovered her body at approximately 3:13 p.m., Brianna was still alive but died shortly after. Emergency services attempted CPR, but she was pronounced dead at 4:02 p.m. Blood had soaked into the earth around her. The two killers were arrested 24 hours later on February 12th and eventually sentenced to life in prison, with minimum terms of 22 and 20 years for Jenkinson and Ratcliffe respectively. The killing of Ashur Sarnaya. On September 10th, 2025, 45-year-old Iraqi Christian TikToker Ashur Sarnaya was outside his apartment building in Lyon, France, preparing for his evening broadcast. He had built a following of over 16,000 viewers who tuned in to watch him discuss his faith, Middle Eastern politics, and life as a Christian refugee in Europe. Shortly before 10:30 p.m., he pressed the Go Live button on his phone. The broadcast began normally. Sarnaya greeted his viewers with his trademark smile and began discussing recent events affecting Christian minorities in the Middle East. Minutes into the stream, viewers noticed his expression change suddenly. An attacker who had been lying in wait approached him. Sarnaya looked directly into the camera, fear visible in his eyes. Witnesses reported seeing the attack unfold. The live stream captured footage showing Sarnaya's face covered in blood, streaming from his nose and mouth. The attacker stabbed Sarnaya in the neck with a knife, severing his carotid artery. Sarnaya, who was in a wheelchair due to his disability, collapsed. The attacker fled the scene on foot, wearing dark clothing with a hood. Emergency services were alerted and arrived to find Sarnaya in cardiac arrest. Despite attempts to resuscitate him, he could not be revived and died at the scene. Sarnaya's sister was notified by friends who were watching the livestream and calling her repeatedly. Ashur Sarnaya had fled Iraq in 2014 to escape ISIS persecution and had been living in France with his sister for over a decade. He had received death threats online and was physically attacked in March 2025. He regularly complained that his content was blocked after being reported by Muslim users. The primary suspect, a 27-year-old Algerian man, was arrested on October 2nd in Italy after fleeing France. He was extradited and charged with murder in connection with a terrorist organization. 5 additional suspects were arrested in Lyon on October 16th and placed under the supervision of anti-terrorism judges. The game over of Valeria Marquez. On May 13, 2025, 23-year-old beauty influencer Valeria Marquez was at her salon, Blossom the Beauty Lounge in Zapopan, a suburb of Guadalajara, Mexico. It was around 6:30 p.m., and she was broadcasting live to her approximately 113,000 TikTok followers. The young entrepreneur had built her following by sharing beauty and lifestyle content. Earlier that afternoon, 2 masked men posing as delivery drivers had arrived at the salon, claiming they had an expensive gift for Marquez that had to be delivered in person. When Marquez heard about this, she expressed fear on her livestream, saying, "Maybe they were going to kill me. Were they going to come and take me away? Or what? I'm worried." Later, during her evening livestream, someone arrived with a delivery. Marquez received a stuffed pink pig toy and a bag of Starbucks coffee. She held the stuffed animal and said, "They're coming." A man's voice off camera asked, "Are you Valeria?" or "Hey Vale," and she replied, "Yes." She then muted the sound on her live stream. Moments later, a man entered the salon and shot her. According to reports, Marquez was shot in the head and chest. She collapsed on camera, slumping forward. Blood pooled on the desk in front of her as the live stream continued. A woman who was in the salon picked up Marquez's phone and ended the broadcast. City police and paramedics arrived at the scene, but Marquez had no vital signs. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Prosecutors stated they believed Marquez was killed by a hired assassin, as the attacker confirmed her identity before shooting. The Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office is investigating the case as a femicide, a gender-based killing. As of initial reports, the suspect remained at large and had not been identified. State Security Coordinator Roberto Alarcon stated that investigators found no evidence linking the shooting to organized crime, though the region is controlled by the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Zapopan Mayor Juan Jose Frangi confirmed his office had no record of Marquez requesting help from authorities regarding threats. The murder of Sania Khan. On July 18, 2022, 29-year-old Sania Khan was in her Chicago apartment in the Streeterville neighborhood at 211 East Ohio Street. The Pakistani-American photographer had gained a following of over 20,000 on TikTok, where she documented her healing journey while going through a difficult divorce. Her posts about escaping a toxic marriage had resonated with women worldwide. Months earlier, Sania had taken extensive protective measures. In December 2021, her estranged husband, Raheel Ahmad, 36, attempted to leave the earth in their 28th floor apartment and tried to include her with him, leaving her with numerous marks. After this incident, Sania filed for divorce, changed her locks, removed Ahmad from her lease, and informed building management that he was a serious threat. Ahmad's name was placed on a no-entry list, banning him from the building. On July 18th, Ahmad had driven approximately 700 miles from his home in Alpharetta, Georgia. Security footage from the apartment building showed him arriving carrying 2 packages, a garment bag containing Sania's wedding dress, and a backpack concealing a 9mm Glock handgun. Posing as someone interested in renting an apartment, he entered with a rental agent who never checked his identification. After touring units, he asked to visit someone on the 28th floor and was allowed to wander unsupervised. Ahmad made his way to Sania's apartment. The family's lawsuit alleges he forcibly entered, based on injuries found on Sania's body. He shot Sania once in the back of her head. She was found near the entrance. Around 4:30 p.m., Chicago police arrived to conduct a wellness check requested by Alpharetta police after one of Ahmad's relatives reported him missing. Officers knocked on the door and heard a gunshot and a groan. When they entered, they found Sania had already passed away. Ahmad was discovered in a bedroom with a head wound. A gun and a note were found at the scene. He was transported to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. The ambush of Mahek Bukhari. On February 11, 2022, 22-year-old TikToker Mahek Bukhari and her 45-year-old mother Ansreen were in a Seat Leon on the A46 in Leicestershire, UK, as part of a deadly ambush they had orchestrated. The influencer had amassed over 100,000 followers who watched her fashion and beauty content, unaware of the deadly plan she was orchestrating that night. Earlier, Saqib Hussain, a 21-year-old former lover of Ansreen, had threatened to expose their 3-year affair with sexually explicit videos and images. Mahek and Ansreen devised a plan. They would lure Hussain to a meeting, promising to return the 3,000 pounds he claimed to have spent on Ansreen during their relationship. In reality, none of the defendants brought any money. It was a trap from the start. At approximately 1:17 a.m., Hussain and his friend Mohammed Hashim Jazuddin, who was driving, arrived at a Tesco car park in Hamilton, Leicester. They immediately sensed danger when they saw multiple people in cars waiting and drove away. What followed was a high-speed chase through dark country roads. 2 cars, a Seat Leon and an Audi TT, pursued the friends Skoda Fabia, carrying Mahek, Ansreen, and 6 accomplices. The chase reached speeds of over 100 miles per hour. In a panic, Hussain called emergency services from the passenger seat. "There's guys following me. They have balaclavas on. They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die." A scream was heard before the call ended abruptly. The pursuing vehicles rammed the Skoda's rear. The Skoda lost control, veered off the dual carriageway, hit a tree, and split in 2. The car burst into flames. Both young men died at the scene. Their families could not identify their bodies due to severe burns. After the crash, the defendants drove past the burning wreckage without stopping to help or calling emergency services. Mahek Bukhari and her mother were later convicted of murder alongside 2 accomplices, Rican Karwan and Reyes Jamal. 3 others were convicted of manslaughter. Mahek initially received a life sentence with a minimum of 31 years, later reduced to approximately 27 years on appeal. Ansreen received a minimum of 26 years and 9 months. The case of Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay. On August 22, 2025, a family pickup truck was discovered at a mechanic shop in the San Andres neighborhood of Guadalajara, Mexico. Inside were 4 bodies wrapped in plastic. One of them was 32-year-old TikToker Esmeralda Ferrer Garibay, known as Esmeralda FG, who had gained approximately 46,000 followers, sharing videos of luxury lifestyle content, designer brands, and controversial posts set to narco corridos, Mexican ballads about drug cartels. One video was captioned, "Advantages of having a narco boyfriend." Authorities found the bodies of Esmeralda alongside her husband Roberto Carlos Gil Licea, 36, their 13-year-old son Gael Santiago, and 7-year-old daughter Regina. All 4 had been wrapped in plastic inside the gray Ford Ranger pickup truck. Investigators used the surveillance footage to trace the truck back to the nearby auto repair shop. At the location, they discovered bloodstains, bullet casings, and ballistic evidence. Prosecutor Alfonso Gutierrez Santillan stated that while the forensic results are not yet in, ballistic and blood evidence almost certainly confirmed they were murdered at that location before their bodies were transported. The family had recently moved to Guadalajara's metropolitan area from Michoacan. Roberto was involved in buying and selling vehicles and tomato farming in Michoacan, both industries that have been linked to cartel extortion and territorial disputes in Mexico. Authorities believe Roberto was the primary target of the attack, not Esmeralda, and that the killings were likely related to his business activities. Despite speculation about cartel involvement, no evidence has been found linking either Roberto or Esmeralda directly to organized crime. The bodies were discovered on August 22nd, but their identities were not confirmed until August 28th, pending DNA analysis. 3 men who worked at the mechanic shop were arrested but later released due to insufficient evidence. In a dramatic twist, 2 of the released men were kidnapped by armed men minutes after leaving the prosecutor's office. The attackers had been waiting for over 2 hours. 1 person managed to escape. The investigation remains ongoing. The femicide of Ana María Castro Romero. On the early morning of March 5th, 2020, 21-year-old Ana Maria had been out celebrating with friends at bars in northern Bogota. The Colombian University student studying professional makeup was at Cantina Plaza Mexico in the Chapinero district. Around 1 to 1:30 a.m., she left the bar with Paul Stanley Naranjo, Julian Valente Ortegon, and her friend Mateo Reyes. Security cameras captured Ana Maria leaving the bar. She appeared unsteady, leaning on one of the men for support. The group climbed into a black Kia Sportage. Ana Maria sat in the back seat with Mateo Reyes, while Naranjo drove and Ortegon sat in the front passenger seat. What happened inside that vehicle would later become the center of a national controversy. Around 3:58 a.m., a Didi driver named Daniel Vega spotted something on Calle 80 with Carrera 69. At first he thought it was a bundle of clothes. As he drove closer, he realized it was a person. Vega pulled over and called emergency services at 3:58 a.m. By the time paramedics arrived, a small crowd had gathered around Ana Maria's motionless body. She was still alive, but barely. Her skull had been fractured in multiple places from impact with the pavement. Blood pooled beneath her head. She was breathing, but each breath was shallow and labored. Paramedics rushed her to Hospital de Engativá, then transferred her to Hospital Simón Bolívar, but the damage was too severe. Ana Maria's brain had suffered catastrophic trauma. She was pronounced dead around 11 a.m. The autopsy revealed crucial details. She had injuries that occurred at different times, including a blow to her left eye inconsistent with the fall pattern. The pattern of injuries suggested she had been beaten with blunt objects inside the vehicle before being thrown from the moving vehicle. Naranjo and Ortegon claimed Ana Maria had fallen accidentally, but surveillance video from a nearby business told a different story. The footage showed the vehicle stopped for exactly 47 seconds at the location where Ana Maria was found. A witness, Vega, reported seeing her thrown from the vehicle. The 2 men were initially charged with aggravated femicide, though this was later reduced to aggravated homicide on appeal, with sentences of 33 years in prison. The mysterious fall of Menglong. On September 11, 2025, 37-year-old Chinese actor and singer Menglong died after falling from a building in Beijing's Chaoyang district. Known for his roles in popular dramas like Go Princess Go and Eternal Love, the celebrity had millions of followers on Chinese social media platforms. Early that morning, Yu's body was discovered at the residential complex. The actor had allegedly been drinking with friends the night before. Authorities quickly ruled the death accidental, citing intoxication as the cause. Within hours, Beijing police issued a statement calling the death accidental and ruling out criminal involvement. They claimed he had lost his balance while intoxicated. His studio released a statement confirming his death and the police findings. But unusual details quickly emerged online, though none have been independently verified. Unverified videos and alleged audio recordings began circulating on Chinese social media, purportedly showing disturbing scenes from the night of his death. An alleged autopsy report surfaced online, claiming Yu had suffered multiple traumatic injuries inconsistent with a simple fall, including defensive wounds and signs of assault. However, multiple sources have questioned this report's authenticity, noting that sections appear copied from older medical documents. On September 16th, a statement released in Yu's mother's name through his studio said he accidentally fell to his death after drinking, and urged people to stop speculating. However, reports later claimed she allegedly published a letter on September 25th stating his death was not accidental and involved a cover-up, though this remains unconfirmed. Chinese authorities responded aggressively to online speculation. On September 21st, Beijing police announced 3 people had been detained for spreading rumors about Yu's death. By September 24th, Weibo had removed over 100,000 pieces of content, suspended over 1,000 accounts, and disabled comments on over 15,000 accounts. The case remains officially closed as an accidental death, despite widespread public skepticism and numerous unverified allegations circulating online. The lack of transparency and heavy censorship have only fueled further speculation about what truly happened to Yu Menglong. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.